Bill Yenga, I deeply appreciate those gracious and generous words. Governor and Mrs. Nye, Mayor and Mrs. Coates, Richard Clements, Ed Cook, Bishop Bart, all of those here at the head table and distinguished guests that are here. I apologize because the doctor did not want me to come here today due to the fact that when I arrived here, I was looking forward to seeing some sunshine and having a little bit of rest, and I came a little bit early and slipped into town and immediately went to bed with whatever I've got. When they don't know what you've got, they call it a virus. And it's like the man that went to see the doctor, and the doctor couldn't diagnose the case, and he said, well, have you ever had this before? And he said, yes, I have several times. He said, well, you've got it again. And that's what I've got. I've got it again. I think I got it from some of my grandchildren, because my wife is sick at home in bed with the same thing, whatever it is. But in the last 18 months, we've been in various parts of the United States and Canada, Mexico, France, Britain, East Germany, Czechoslovakia, Austria, Holland, spoken on many university campuses, Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, University of Maine, Vermont, University of North Carolina, Cambridge, Oxford, and different universities, as well as in great stadiums everywhere, and several times in Washington. And almost everywhere I go, I find both leaders and ordinary individuals are asking one basic question: is there hope for the future? Our young people are asking that question, and there's a great deal of despair. They're asking it because the dominant characteristic of life today throughout the world is a climate of fear. Fear of the future, fear of a world that seems almost out of control, fear of economic recession. And beneath it all is a feeling of almost despair or dread, a feeling of deep pessimism that anything can really be done to stop the present trend toward war or toward economic collapse, because I don't care how good the stock market is, we are broke, and we are more than broke, and we're spending our great-great-great-great-grandchildren's money. And I remember talking to the Secretary of the Treasury one day, and I said, not the present one, but a former one, and I said, what is the situation economically? He said, Billy, we're broke, and we've been broke for a long time. And he said, one day the whole thing is going to come tumbling down. I don't know about that. I don't understand economics. I remember a man had told me one day, he said, you know, you ought to run for president, except you don't know much about economics. And I said, well, that's not the reason I'm not running, but there's a difference between an optimist and a pessimist, and it was highlighted in one of our prisons. Two convicts were looking out of a cell window one night, and the pessimist saw only the bars. The optimist saw the stars. And in our world today, we see both. There was a demonstration in London recently, and I saw on the television, on the back of one of the demonstrators among the young people, said, no future. The suicide rate has doubled in 2 years for those under 19. What kind of people will it take to help solve our problems, whether it be in the home, the community, the nation, or the world? What must be the characteristic of a true leader? All of you here today are leaders. The first quality I would like to mention is integrity. It means a man is the same on the inside as he claims to be on the outside. There's no discrepancy between what he says and what he does, between his walk and his talk. A man of integrity can be trusted, and he's the same person alone in his hotel room 1,000 miles from home as he is at church or in his community or in his home. Solomon wrote long ago, the man of integrity walks securely, but he who takes crooked paths will be found out. One of the greatest gifts that God gives a man is the ability to lie down at night, satisfied with who he is, what he's done that day, because he's acted with integrity. The second quality I believe is necessary for leadership during these difficult days is personal security. I do not mean this in the sense of physical security or job security. Newsweek magazine ran an article some time ago entitled Uneasy Men at the Top. They described the job insecurities of some in top levels of corporate management in large companies. It set the stage for one newly installed CEO to say in jest, I didn't mind it when they wrote my when they wrote my name on the office door in chalk. But I did think it was a little unethical to have a wet sponge hanging from the doorknob. But I'm instead talking about personal and emotional security, the kind which comes from knowing and accepting who we are, why we're here, and where we're going. I do not believe that that kind of security comes from our careers alone. The trouble with total devotion to a career is that businesses are not set up to provide emotional satisfaction. If the organization changes, or if your job changes, the emotional satisfaction you get from your work may decrease sharply, and you're left with no other source of support. And then when retirement comes, you have nothing else to turn to. Psychiatrist Dr. Glenn Swager recommended for avoiding that type of vulnerability is to diversify your emotional portfolio. And part of that diversification should include a proper emphasis on the spiritual aspect of your life. You're not just a body or a mind. God created you with a spiritual nature. And that's one reason why I believe that the only real source of lasting security is found in Christ. Only in Him do we find out who we are, why we're here, and where we're going. As a person comes to know God in a real and personal way, he becomes truly secure. Personal security includes a sense of inner peace, peace with God, and peace with oneself. Jesus said to his followers, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." Besides integrity and personal security, the third quality which is necessary in a leader is a sense of priority. This is the ability to separate the important from the unimportant, the critical from the trivial, vital from the insignificant, the eternal from the temporary. Until a man gets his priorities in life straight, everything else is going to be out of order. My friend Dr. Roy Menninger, head of the Menninger Foundation, tells businessmen, quote, "As successful executives, most of you are adept at planning, but most of you don't give much attention to your own life plan and the direction you're going and why." Most of us live from day to day so swamped by the pressures and details of daily life that we don't take the time to think about our goals in life. Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you. And once that priority has been established, then the rest of life can be seen and lived in a proper perspective. Without a proper attitude toward God, everything else in life will eventually take on more importance than it's supposed to have. I heard about one chairman of the board who wanted to see the president of his company, and he went in. The secretary said, "I'm sorry, he's in a conference. He can't be disturbed at this time." And he swore and opened the door. He said, "He'll see me." And he walked in and he saw the president of the company down on his knees in prayer. And he backed slowly out and he said to the secretary, "I can now see why he's so successful. He's got his priorities straight." Do you have your priorities straight? Then there's one final quality that I would mention briefly, the quality of vision. This is the quality of seeing what can be and ought to be done and how to get there. I'm sure that you all know companies where management has lost its vision and gradually the business deteriorates and becomes outdated. But I have in mind something greater than just a vision for your respective business. Our world today desperately needs people of vision, men and women who believe they have a responsibility to God and to their fellow men, and have a vision for helping build a better society, getting the big picture. It's far too easy for any of us to become involved in a narrow, self-centered way in the pursuit of our own little goals, and to forget that we have a larger obligation, an obligation to God first, to our family, to our neighbor. A man who refuses that obligation is not a true leader, no matter how successful his balance sheet may be. As a Christian, I believe the highest vision we can have is a determination to do God's will in this world. And that means we thrust ourselves into the great issues of our day and accept the responsibility to be leaders in shaping the future. How can we be the kind of person we ought to be? Father, mother, child, whatever, in the home, in the community. I believe that we're made in the image of God. We're made in the moral and spiritual image of God, and living down inside your body is your spirit, your soul that's going to live forever. And that part of us is being neglected in our generation. We spend so much time watching the television. We spend so much time reading the papers, so much time with all the other things in life that we don't sit down and really think through the fact that we are made in God's image for fellowship with God, and without that fellowship with God, you'll never find the answer that you're searching for. We're searching for something to commit ourselves to, a song to sing, a flag to follow. That person can be Jesus Christ. When I accepted him as the Son of God, repented of my sins and received him, it turned my life around. I didn't become perfect, but I had a new goal. There was a new optimism, a new joy, a new peace, and a love for my neighbor that I never had before. And that can happen to anyone at any time that you're willing to put your trust in him. So I challenge you to be individuals who are committed to Jesus Christ, because only in him can you know what it fully means to have integrity and personal security and priority and vision. And as we yield ourselves to him and come to a personal relationship with him, and then walk day by day with him and follow his word, then we discover the qualities of leadership we need, and also the strength we need. For he alone exhibited these qualities of leadership perfectly in his own life. It's been said that when God made the oyster, he guaranteed it absolute economic and social security. He built the oyster a house, his shell, to shelter and protect him from his enemies. And when he was hungry, the oyster simply opens his shell and food rushes in for him. He has freedom from want. But when God made the eagle, he declared the blue sky is the limit. Build your own home. So the eagle builds on the highest mountain. Storms threaten him every day. For food, he flies through miles of rain and snow and wind. And yet, which one of us would rather be an oyster than an eagle? It's my prayer that the words of the great prophet Isaiah would ring true in your lives as you rise to the challenges before you. In the 40th chapter, Isaiah said, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." This can be your experience as you commit yourself to Christ and determined by his grace to help give fresh leadership to this community and to our world. If we don't, there's a strong possibility that we will witness Armageddon in our generation. In your business, in your personal life, in your home life, in our world, there's hope, but there's only one hope. And that's in the person of Jesus Christ, who said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me." Thank you, and God bless you.